Testing. 1, 2, 3. Hey, everybody. How's it going? It's Alexander Williamson. That's me. How is everybody feeling today? I saw that we had a couple. Early. We had a new member re-up. Thank you so much, Misfit Reptiles, and let's see here. And then also Michelle Kinsey. $5 super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It means the greatest of deals to me. It is the greatest of deals. Thank you so much. I hope everybody's doing well. Who do we got in here? I hope you guys got the alert that today we were starting a little later than normal. And also, I've been fighting the internet company and my internet gear. I've got a brand new router that was super pricey, but supposedly it'll be good for like 5 years. And so new router. They came and they double checked the internet. They put there was some filter on the actual internet connection, and so they took that off and put some noise canceling thing. Noise as in line, the signal connection of the actual hardline cable or whatever. Hopefully they'll have fiber optic, full high speed or T1 or something out here soon, they said. But until then, I'm kind of fighting various issues. So if the quality drops and I start going lower than, say, 720, please somebody let me know. Or if you can't hear me at all, please just let me know. I think we're hanging in there right now for these live streams. But when I'm running everything through StreamYard, so that I can share the screen of my computer if I want, and so that we can use multiple cameras and the microphone and lights and all that, sometimes it bogs it down and it's an issue. Of course, today we're going to start with the tradition. If you got one, get it ready. Whatever you are going to be drinking with us this afternoon, evening, morning, night, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Oh yeah, that was a good one. It was a good sound. So they're still not an official sponsor, but I am addicted. So, all right, guys. So today, before we started, I have a couple announcements. The first big announcement, you've probably already heard it. If you're up to date, if you're hip, you're cool. No. If you're Dr. Evil with it, the immersed aquascaping contest has been extended. So there are now another 30 days total. So the 15th of September is now the new deadline, live line, date line, end line. And then after that, we'll post a video up around that time that you'll have the link for the second form, or you can go to the first set of videos as the link and just fill all that out and submit your pictures and or a link to a video tour if you want to do a 2 or 3 minute max video tour of your aquascape. You can. Otherwise, we'll probably go over each of the entries one of the days. And we'll be doing that by looking at what you wrote in the submission and your pictures if you didn't provide a video. I think the easiest way for the video on there would be to just film a video, upload it to a YouTube channel, even if it's one that you just create, or to any place that hosts video, like Vimeo or Imgur or any of those. I don't know, Photo Bucket, is that still around? And then just give us the link to that, and then that way we can share that with everybody. And feel free to make it as cinematic or as simple as you want. Whatever you feel like doing is good. So that is extended to September 15th out of popular demand. So the other announcement is one for a friend. So Amber Menard over at Big City Bettas, she is moving and she needs to downsize all of her bettas basically. So she had a bunch of breeding adult males and females, and they're, you know, high quality, where she's been trying to isolate traits or work on different lines. They're mostly Koi Nemo. Some are the cello or cello, however you want to say it, kind of translucent blue color, opaqueness to them too, or galaxy kind of pearl sheen, whatever you want to call them. But I ended up buying a creamsicle, or ordering a creamsicle male and like a yellow and white female. And I'm excited to try to breed them and spawn them, and you know, hopefully we can show you guys on my channel. I've done betta breeding videos several times, and you guys have probably seen grow outs most years on this channel since it's existed. But I like to do at least one group spawn a year. Right now, I've got a few baby from an aquatic arts pair that I have that are a blue and red kind of betta. But these are mostly plakat, like plakat. I think some of them may be Galaxy Koi Nemos, and or Nemo yellow and white. Like they're just really nice looking fish, and they're adults, which is nice. And some of them are even proven breeders. But I wanted to help her out. No, this isn't some ongoing connection or anything, but she let me know that she was, you know, trying to get those moved, and obviously could use a little bit of the Mooney for the moving. And so I wanted to, you know, help a friend out and let y'all know about that going on. It's in the description linked below. There's also 10% off. And if you want to use it through me, plus I think she's already kind of adjusted the prices accordingly. And you can check out her website, which is queenbetta.com. So it's all linked in the doobly-doo description below. All right, so there's all the promo stuff. You know, not that that was an ad, I just want to help Amber of Big City Bettas out. I know how it goes to move, and not to want your fish or plants or whatever it is that you're in abundance of to go to waste, or to get lost in the shuffle, or to just be another thing you have to take care of and get neglected or whatnot. So yeah, some of them were, I mean, she was planning on breeding them for profit. So they're nice. And the genetics, she's I think 3 or 4 generations in on some of them. So she's been working on different stuff, and it lists all the info on them on her site. All right, guys. Well, oh, thank you so much, Shanna. Good to see you, by the way. I need to give you a call anyhow. Goose Not Maverick, what's going on, buddy? Oh, man, it is hot in here today. Again, it's 80-something, 85, 86. I might turn my fan on real quick. But then we will get to part 2 of plants, mysteries, and misconceptions. Conception. So I also have the plant Bible at my side. And if you have any questions, we can look up. Anything I don't know is probably in this book, Crystal Castleman Aquarium Plant book. But I got a few issues that I want to talk about before all of that. So let me go turn the fan on because it's real hot, and then we'll get rolling. If you have any questions about plants or normal aquarium stuff, it helps to do the @Alexander Williamson or @Alex The Secret History Living in Your Aquarium is the easiest way. That'll highlight my whole name for me. It'll pop up. It'll stay up longer in the priority on StreamYard. And if you are a channel member, which is $1.99, it keeps your comments up a little longer too through the StreamYard, because of top chat. StreamYard uses top chat. So indirectly, it ends up holding it up longer, even if you don't my name. So if I miss your question, I apologize. But try to use the symbol and ask multiple times if I don't get to it. So let me turn that fan on, and then we'll get rolling. Oh yeah. Flow. Yes, we need flow. We need heavy flow in our lives, in our plants' lives, in our aquariums. We need flow. Water flow is so important. Don't let those flow monitoring flowinators stop you from getting the flow. So that's actually, that's something that people think is important in their aquariums for their fish is the flow. They think that they need an air stone so that they're bringing air into their fish. Well, that's not why you actually have it in there. Science Gal Aquatics, hello, welcome, and good to see you. It's been too long. We should do something sometime soon on the little internet television screen. This, but it's good to see you in here. Same with J-Rock, good to see you. Danikin, Peplin Creek, so many good folks shuffling in this evening. Good to see everybody. So the flow is not okay. So when you put in an air stone in your tank, we've talked about this many times, but when you put in an air stone, you're not actually, those bubbles aren't air that's going into your tank. That air is going quickly up and out of wherever you put it in. Same with the CO2. The place where the magic happens is at the surface, and that's where surface tension is shattered. Now, a little bit of it, yeah, it does get dissolved on the way traveling up, but they're on their way up, and water is a polar molecule, and it sticks together, and so the bubbles are kind of, they're not free to just dissolve the O2 that's in the atmosphere, or it's not pure O2 either that's going into your aquarium. Remember, it's less than 20%, honestly, because or less than 25%, let's say, because you are putting in atmospheric air. You're not putting in O2. So when you're putting in any sort of air line, that's just something to remember, that you're actually putting nitrogen in the water. You're actually putting CO2 in the water. And you're actually putting, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, carbon itself, I guess, probably traces of mercury and lead if you live near the freeway. No, just whatever's in the air, though, is going to be in your air stone and in your air pump, in your air lines, and then diffused into your water. So it's kind of interesting to think that plants, while we do want to give them fertilizers, it's kind of amazing to think that nitrogen, we know that's really important. That's probably the main fertilizer, right? That's the main macro fertilizer that we always talk about. Carbon's also important because that's the building block, and we're all carbon-based life forms. So that's important. And then, what else do we have after that, guys? I mean, we have oxygen is a byproduct of the photosynthetic process. So then we need light. Okay, so we need light coming into the equation so that photosynthesis can happen. And that will take the CO2 and turn it into O2, rip it apart, and keep the carbon. So when you've got that, your plants are happy. And so when we're talking about like the aquascaping contest, immersed plants, above water plants, they are actually cheating. I mean, they actually get that atmospheric. Our atmosphere is almost 80% nitrogen. And so they're getting their nitrogen also from the air. There's fertilizer in the air that you're breathing, which is an odd thought to me anyways. And it takes, it happens on the cellular level, but it actually rips it all apart. And little cells, little organelles, and little systems in the plant actually are able to do that, which is neat, part of photosynthesis. Now it needs oxygen for photosynthesis, which is interesting because it's a byproduct of photosynthesis. And there are different kinds of photosynthesis. There's C2, 3, 4, and 5, I believe, maybe even a 6th. And some don't need oxygen involved, or don't need iron, or don't need potassium. So there's other trace minerals that are involved just to keep the cell body going. Now that's where we get our micros. But really, if you have fish They're pooping in your aquarium. They're also, I mean, essentially sweating or secreting biofilms. They're growing biofilms. So they're putting that stuff into your aquarium also in the form of carbon in dead skin cells and in what they're breathing, the CO2 that when they exhale through, you know, when they're done essentially breathing through their gills. And so all of that feeds your plants. Well, all of that doesn't always get distributed, and so that's why I was saying flow is important. So when you've got good flow, you're getting all those nutrients mixed around, and also you're breaking up the polarity, you know, of water being a polar. You know, basically it's like magnets. It's sticky. At a small level, they're like little bricks or Legos that lock together, and that's why you can take an eyedropper and stack on like a penny or something. You can stack a dome of water. It won't just spill over the edge. You can actually put like 5 or 10 drops onto that penny. Well, it's the surface tension, and that's what we need to break up. And another thing that I think can happen and people forget is that they grow aquatic plants on top of their aquarium, on floating on the water, and that limits any sort of flow or surface agitation. And so whilst those plants, yes, they're putting out oxygen and things, you also have to remember that it's usually the leaf tissues, which is the part of the plant that has essentially pores to release that. So it's releasing oxygen into the room or into your backyard if you have a pond, but it's not necessarily oxygenating the water for your fish, which your fish obviously need. So in any case, let's see here. What is going on? Mary Page, so good to see you. Obviously, I always love to see you, my dear, and being a righteous promoter of the show. Thank you so much for rallying the likes. Yeah, if you guys haven't done it yet and you want to, click the thumbs up. Lets people know that they should come join our little party over here in the weirdo corner of YouTube. You know, on a sunny day here, most of the country it's sunny. Now I have some more myths that have come to me, and if you guys have any or any questions, let me know and we'll hit that. Liquid Zoo, what's going on? Welcome. It's good to see. It's good to see folks. If I haven't seen you in a while, or if you're new, VB23, right on. Okay, so, and I see questions like, what kind of fish flakes should I feed? Stuff like that. Well, you guys are giving each other great answers, so good. I'll let you guys handle some of that because you're giving answers. If I don't answer and somebody else has answered a question, it's probably the fact that somebody just said what I would have said. That's why I'm not addressing it. Just so you know, in general, as a whole, on the whole, preparation H on the whole is better than preparation J. Sorry, I've got Austin Powers quote stuck in my head. Okay. All right. Enough of that. Stop it, Alex. Okay. So what do we have here? Oh, one of the things when we're talking about floating plants that I think of right away is duckweed. Okay. You get duckweed. It's hard to get rid of. We all know that. But I feel like most of us with multiple aquariums end up just having duckweed and living with it and it being a part of our environment, at least to some degree, on some of the tanks, if not on all of them at some point. It is the STD of of the aquarium hobby, unfortunately. But the thing that I overhear or that I've had people ask me, especially when I worked at the aquarium store, was, Alex, I got some goldfish. They're fancy Chinese. I'm just trying to think. Like, I got a Ranchu, and honestly, it doesn't matter what kind of goldfish you have. If it's a carp, goldfish are, it's going to eat anything that fits in its mouth. And, you know, duckweed is very, very high in protein for a plant. It's I mean, it's just good. It's good stuff. It's like 50, what is it, 54% by dry weight, I think, protein. So you can make wheatgrass smoothies basically with duckweed. And I know people who do eat duckweed, especially in aquaponic situations. It's very high in protein for a little plant like that. It's also one of the smallest flowering plants in the world, with roots, that is. So pretty cool in that sense. And I mean, that you can grow it if it doesn't have much light, it's going to stay small and grow slower. If it has lots of light, it's going to grow bigger leaves. But you can get it to do interesting stuff. And also by changing the pH in your water, if you have really acidic water and you're putting in tannins and things like wood, like leaf debris, stuff like that, you can definitely just Alan duckweed extinction fund $7.99 super chat. I think we're gonna need a lot more than that to get rid of all of the duckweed in the world. But thank you for the start, Alan. I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate you. Alan is also, by the way, one of the judges for the Immersed Aquascape contest that we got coming up. So just wanted to acknowledge that. And Rigel is as well. He just recently put in some really cool pictures of some immersed growth and stuff like that in some of his tanks on the Facebook group by the same name of the channel, The Secret History Living in Your Facebook group. No, it's still living in your aquarium. I still have a really long name everywhere on every platform other than Instagram, I suppose. All right, so yeah, the thing though is goldfish, they eat plants, and I always get that. Oh, I don't have plants because I have goldfish. Well, if you have goldfish, they also produce a lot of waste. They produce a lot of ammonia, a lot of nitrites. Or ammonia, which turns into nitrites, then nitrates. And they produce a lot of just slime coat, and they eat messy, and they dig around and stuff, and they rub against things. They're just a messy fish. They have a very large bioload for their size. And a lot of times people will have snails thinking those will clean the glass and stuff, and they will, but they also, the combo I see time and time again is mystery snails, or apple snails that are, yay big, and big old goldfish, and they're in a non-planted tank. And to me, it's just a recipe for problems, dropsy and other problems like that stress will cause with these poor little guys. But they will eat those plants. And to me, I think we should look at those plants as something to keep them busy, as like an all-day buffet. And then you're going to come and you're going to feed your goldfish, of course, and you're going to have to do your water changes and all that. And it's going to be more so than if you had some nano fish. But same with koi, same with other cichlids, not other cichlids, cichlids period. But if you have expensive plants like crypts, or say you got some crypt pink flamingo, or some young new roots and shoots of Rotala Wallachia or Atra or something like that, that's out of an ADA cup, don't put that in with any fish that's going to munch on it, please. Even Corydoras will eat the tissue cultures. So, that's something that I think one of the cons to tissue cultures that doesn't get talked about enough is the fact that it's very tender tissue. It's clone tissue, and it's undifferentiated cell tissue that's very delicate. And it's basically like the most fragile, delicate, flavorful part of the plant until it immerses or submerges or whatever, until it grows out of its pedomorphic stage or in between stage of being. So the other thing that you can do if you have goldfish or cichlids or fish that tend to just eat plants, so you get the floating plants, which they're going to eat whenever they're hungry. They'll go up there. Duckweed is very tender to them. It is one of the plants that honestly they'll have priority over. But if you have something like Crypt Pink Flamingo, Crypt Spiralis Red, or I'm just trying to think, if you're trying, like if you're trying to get something carpeting, you just don't try to do those elaborate aquascapes with goldfish is the bottom line. They're going to get into stuff, they're going to mess around, and they're going to just do this with their head and try to get little pieces of flake food or imaginary things that aren't even there because they're just ding dong fish. And they're going to dig up the substrate. Now, likewise, Corridora and things like that, banjo catfish, plecos, yes, they do good, but they also will kind of dig up some of those items, especially if they're the tender ones like the tissue cultures. So I highly recommend if you're going to use plants like that and then put them into an aquarium that's already established with those critters, why not try growing it first in another aquarium? Or for that matter, even put it in a pot or a breeder box up high, let it get lots of light, let it put lots of root shoots in there and all that, and then use that little piece, plant it down after a few months after its tissue has toughened up. Then it won't call to the plants quite as much, or to the fish quite as much as I'm tender, I'm a different color, and I'm edible. You know, because right now that's what those plants are going to feel like to those fish. The other way to go is putting in plants that are just freaking tough. So Nasea triflora, that's a good one. Kabambas are okay. And you know, the other thing to think about is the fact that frequently you can get stems if you have a good substrate that will grow an inch a day. They'll grow at a pace that if you're feeding your goldfish and if you have duckweed and you have other goldfish for them to interact with and stay busy and not just sit there and be sad and all day long. Because sometimes if they're just bored, fish get bored and they will just eat. It's just, unfortunately, it's something they do. So that can help. And same with aggression between cichlids. I'm not saying that you want your cichlids fighting each other all day. We don't want some Fight Club situation of cichlids going on. But if they're busy proving their territory, their size, you know, doing their thing, socializing, that can go a long way to protecting your plants. So the number of fish that you have, even if they eat plants, is important. I mean, I've seen people in large, big aquariums, mostly online. I've only known one person with a real one, but pacus, which are a fruit-eating fish with teeth that look like human teeth, basically. If you Google fish with human teeth, that's probably the one you're going to find is the pacu. And you can still have plants. It's just a matter of that you want to get the flow, the nutrients to them. You want, if you've got messy fish or fish that are digging and things like that, then like I said, get them started somewhere else. Get them started in a little drop off the side, even a specimen container or whatever it takes. And that will help. And that will also let you dose fertilizers at a much lower rate, or CO2 if you're just trying to get it to be growing quickly and putting out little roots and things. You can float it on top of the water in a little thing, and that'll really help. So there's that. You know, other plants, of course, you probably already know this. I probably don't have to tell everyone, but Anubias is another plant. If you have fish that eat plants, Anubias, corkscrew val or Italian val, jungle val, you know, Bucephalandra can work sometimes, but if they develop a taste for it, that's an expensive salad bar that you just provided them. And then, of course, like we said, stem plants and water plants that grow so fast that it doesn't matter that they're eating them on the daily, as the kids would say. Let's see here. Alex, do you find that Hydrocaudal tripartita has leaves that fish find delicious? I think rainbows or angels are munching on it, but I haven't caught them in the act. Stephen, that's a good question. I haven't seen them I haven't seen them do that. I don't know. I haven't seen them do that either, but I have seen the Corydoras and the Autocinclus even trying to eat algae and just mulm or food that falls in between that stuff. That's it's like the smallest of the pennyworts or moneyworts, and it grows kind of like a little, almost like bean sprouts, or I'm trying to think of some other plant that would kind of like those little tendrils that come out at the bottom of a carrot or a radish or something. It's like that, and it's got little clover leaves on it, but it's a very crispy, crunchy. I mean, it bends and everything, but to the fish, it's probably got a little bit of a crunch to it. Little teeny tiny hollow stems if you look at it closely sometimes, and then it's grows quickly, so you get the little leaf clusters. Anything that grows quickly it's putting out lots of new leaves quickly. They're little leaves and they taste just so good. They're delicious. They're delicate. They're young. They're not full of the things that plants naturally make, chemicals that make it so that insects and things don't want to eat them. Well, a lot of times when they're young, the plant hasn't revved up that production quite as much. Monster Fish Galari, good to see you. And Muppet, good to see you. Fish Tropic, good to see you. BJ Palmer, Petraman. Oh, we got so many folks in here tonight. Good to see everybody. So other than talking about fish that, they're going to eat the plants, we talked about the socializing them and keeping them busy. But Anubias, Bulbitis hedulata is another great one. The African water fern. And essentially just stay away from anything that has leaves that when you bend them out of the water, they snap, because that's probably going to be something that's crunchy and something that's, I don't know why, but it seems those things are irresistible to fish. So I don't know. We'll see. Wang JT, welcome. Big City Bettas, what's up? So Amber is here. And like I said, guys, if you weren't here at the very beginning, Amber of Big City Bettas has to move. And so if you go to bettaqueen.com, or the info's all linked below, you can get some adult, really pretty koi and Nemo, yellow, orange, white, cello or cello. I don't know, I've heard both. Which is this like iridescent pearl scale, mother of pearl color, usually on the fins or sometimes around the gills. It's iridophores. It's the sparklies. But she's got several generations and she's got to move. So I said I'd help her out, and she's helping me out by I'm going to get a couple of fish from her lines. I want to breed like a creamsicle betta, and with like some yellows and oranges, and she's sending me some fish. So I said that I mean, I would do it without the fish too, but I'm also letting you guys know that if you need some quality bettas, she's been breeding for quite some time, and she's got them. What you see, what you get. It's listed by the fish on the website, and it's all linked below. And there's a discount code where you can save money on that, and you're helping her out because they're adult bettas that are ready to spawn, ready to breed. If you want to breed them and make some money, I mean, make some money and learn to breed them. Check out her content, my content. I mean, there's lots of people who've showed how to breed bettas, and there's lots of ways to breed bettas. So yeah, let's see here. Yeah, Bulbitis Hedgelata, Zen Ginger is saying that she loves that. Melvin Reef, what is up? Emily, what is up? Let's see here. There was where did it go? Was the question? Do. Uh, Whoa. I don't know what just happened. Are we back? Am I back? Are we okay? Sorry about that. I think also it probably froze on my face in some really lovely expression. Let's see here. There was a question I missed, I swear. Tried converting watercress store at grocery store. It didn't work out. Yeah, I mean, I love that though. I love to hear when people have tried new things and just tried um, new combos of different water situations and different plants. Uh, Always good. Oh, sweet. My bed is shipped out. Thank you so much, Amber. I appreciate it. I just saw your message. Sorry, I just scrolled back. Hey, look, it's a wife. Hi, wife.
Hello.
So that's the wife. That's Lara, my lovely princess. She just got home from work. And she's actually going to be helping me with she's going to be my like Vanna White of when we do tannins. We're going to go over like 10 different leaves and plant materials, and we're going to talk about all the properties: antibacterial, digestive aids, anti-wound or pro-wound healing, I should say, um, collagen building, all sorts of stuff that different you can get from different additives from the aquarium. She's gonna be my little Vanna White on that series. They should be short episodes, but stay tuned for that. What causes oily film? That's usually too much feeding, and honestly, I would stay away from the skimmers if you can help it, because that tells you, hey, you're overfeeding. Hey, your fish aren't eating enough, or hey, something died and its body has made a greasy film. It doesn't indicate necessarily that anything has gone wrong, but it's something to keep your eye on. But if you get that kind of rainbow shimmer when you say the water levels here, and you kind of eyeball it down like that, and you can see it kind of looks like gasoline floating on top, that's when I would. I mean, you can take a paper towel quickly and just lay it on there and then pull it off, and that will get some off. You can get skimmers, obviously, that's an option, but I would just avoid it until you feel like it's just a problem for months, because it's a hint. Don't get rid of these hints just because they're a little unsightly or whatnot. Sometimes don't get rid of the hints that help guide you and direct you and tell you what's going on in your tank. Hey, Cassie B, what's up? Let's see here. Thank you so much, Zen Ginger, for posting also the link to the beta stuff. Yeah, freeze-dried bloodworms are a good source of greasy film. Yes, so that's totally true. Any frozen food or live food that doesn't get fully eaten, if they're chomping like a half of a fish, if you have an Oscar or something and they're eating feeder fish, quote unquote. Alex, in your experience, do angels mate for life or will they choose another? Both. I've honestly seen both occur. So they don't have to mate for life, but I've had, for instance, Sergio mated with 3 females for life. I've never seen anything like it. He would go in a 40-gallon tank, he would go here, then here, and then here, high, medium, and low, and then in kind of on a bow front in different spots. and he in a week period would spawn with each of those 3 females. Pretty incredible. Now most angelfish, I mean, that just cichlids in general have a they have kind of a natural inclination to pair up, obviously, but they kind of have this natural depression when their mate dies. And so it may not be that they mate for life, but it may be that there's a very high likelihood that when they do get together, if one dies, like especially with cribs or Nanochromis, I've never seen 2 make it when one dies personally, but or at least more than a month or so. Usually they stop eating and they get depressed. So that's just what I've noticed. But sometimes if you put something like a young female in there, if it's a male that lost his mate or a female that lost her mate, and you get her another male, sometimes they will imprint on another one. But it's kind of a gamble. It just depends on the fish. Fish have personalities, just like we do, and people don't give them enough credit for that. All right, let's see here. Kind all night. One misconception I find is that buying wild-caught bettas reduces their numbers in the wild and are victims of the pet trade. Oh yeah, that is a total misconception. So let me just tell you really quick, because I actually just filmed a short that I guess I could release. You know, I was torn on if you guys are burnt out of me and my nature trips in the morning on my hikes. But I went to a park yesterday, and in this flooded park / ex-military base, there are Nature Aquarium says, Sergio, what a stud. Yeah, my big old angel that I miss. Like in that situation though, he had 3 females and himself. 1 female is alive, she's alone, but all the other fish died within 3 days, 2 days of each other, once he died. But what I was going to say is the bettas, they can live in water as shallow as an inch. I mean, they just need to keep their gills a little moist and their skin moist so the biofilm can stay primed or stay slick. And then they can, you know, breathe air. They're labyrinth fish. Same with gouramis, same with snakehead fish. There's a host of fish. Licorice gouramis are another one. And they are able to breathe air because in their native habitat, the whole forest floods. And for half the season, it's maybe 10 feet deep or maybe 5 feet deep. It just depends on where you're at. It could be 2 inches deep, but it could be spilling out into all the farms and fields. And so you've got this floodplain, you've got rice paddies growing in that region for 8 to 12,000 years. We don't know exactly how long rice was cultivated so widely. But because of that, and just because of the kind of boggy, swampy nature anyways of Southeast Asia in many areas, those fish can hang out. And you would be amazed at the size of fish that can be in a swamp or that can be in a few inches of water, especially if they've burrowed a hole. Like snakehead fish can be, you know, big, like almost 3 feet, probably over 3 feet, some species. So yes. Hello, Susan from SLC. Good to see you. Jay Oliver's Guppies. What's up? Derek, well, you have a good night also. Let's see here. Did I miss anything? I just want to make sure not. Sorry, guys, my vision is not the best today. I'm trying to read, and I'm like reading with my eyes squint, or kind of like that to try to read the screen. All right, so let's get on to another myth, which is that I addressed this in a recent video, but that snails eat your plants. Let's go to the live replay. So snails, yeah, I'm caught. I'm caught. All right. Snails, yes, they will eat plants. If you do not feed them anything, they will eat fresh plants. Even ram's horn snails. I know some people try to tell you that they won't, but they will. So take a look here. Let me get this situated. But right here, this plant. In fact, I'm gonna actually nip it in the bud. I use the term. But check out this plant underwater. This is because the plant got too tasty right in the center, and the snails ate it. They didn't have any other food because there is not a speck of algae left in this tank right now. This tank is bonkers. The nitrates were fairly medium to high, I would say, for a community tank. Now there's all these little snails. They can't grow. They've been trying to grow and they can't. And they're trying to eat anything they can, but they eat these dead plants as fast as they can. And then there's nothing left. I mean, if you look down here, there aren't any, well, I guess it's kind of hard to see with the glare, but there aren't any dead leaves in this aquarium hardly. They're doing too good of a job. Now, almost never does this happen when people are saying snails are eating my plants. What's happening is your plants are not healthy, and therefore the snails are munching on stuff that's already melting. That is what's going on, because they like an easy meal. They don't want to have to digest things. They're simple creatures, ancient creatures, and they don't want to have to deal with things. So well, just wait. And you can see here we've got lots of snails around, same plant, but none of it is eaten in here. And that's because in this tank, there's more fine leaf plants. And with the CO2 and stuff, there's still algae. See the algae here? There's still good fresh salad bar for them to eat. But almost never when people think it's snails eating their plants, is it snails eating their plants. I don't know why that's the case, but it is. From my experience, it's just kind of surprising. Now this tank is insane, bonkers, too dense. I've been trimming it and trying to sell plants from it locally. You can see there's plecos in here too, lemon plecos that are eating away at the algae. And there's snails. The other thing, if you didn't see my recent snail video, I talk about something else, which is the fact that snails, when they don't have enough food, hey, this came unhooked. No wonder the CO2 and all that is not making any noise over here. The check valve popped off. And actually, it's time for this tank to get the CO2, even though it doesn't need it, because this tank is bonkers, crazy nuts. But I wanted to also show you some of the emergent growth going on too. Yeah, the plants may be alive, but the leaves that they're choosing to eat should be damaged, unless they're literally out of all other food, and they can smell really well. So yeah, but here what I'm doing is I've got a light above, and I'm gonna mount it higher up like here. But what we've got is we've got emergent growth here. This is the Rotala mini butterfly. And you can see the Rotala rotundifolia. You can see how pretty the purple is here and all that. It's coming above. We've also got Ludwigia here coming up above, Ludwigia palustris and repens. And then under the surface here, we have a lot of plants trying to become emergent. And because, remember how I was telling you this Logonandra, I couldn't get it to grow? Well, now it's completely covered in this. Also, by the way, this is the tiny, tiny type of duckweed. See how the light has not been on super intensely? over here, but it has all the nutrients it needs. So it's working on density. Like we talked about last time, when plants have everything they need, they all of a sudden start working on density and color and the ability to make a sunscreen for themselves with anthocyanins or basically athaptascan, just different chemicals, lycopene, that give them pigmentation and allow them to be in the sun without burning and still have that green underneath. But a lot of times they'll run sideways trying to get nutrients. See, this one wanted nutrients, and it's actually growing upside down. I may have planted it upside down. Look at that. So the crown could be growing off to a weird side, and now we've got this cutting growing with these. These aren't tap roots. These are feeder roots. The little thin roots with all the little branches are generally feeder roots. But if I were to plant this in another aquarium, in between each node, you would get a new plant growing very soon. So I can bring this outside and grow this. Now this actually, that's very interesting. So what happened is this came up out and started growing immersed, whereas the roots, it was floating the whole time. And we've got, let's take it over to better lighting. So this is the immersed form of Ludwigia repens, or super red. And it's interesting too, because so with Ludwigia, each node where the plant is, there's supposed to be 2 leaves. Well, they've grown so that they're almost on the same side. They're almost in the same third of the plant. They should be on 180 degrees, you know, they should be right across from each other, but these ones wanted light, I guess, and so they grew together and towards the light. Now the light has been so low, I mean literally low, like the elevation has been so low in this tank that the plants have had nowhere to go. And this is Nassia trifolia, which is a really interesting plant too. Real hardy stem, just a cool plant. It looks like this underwater, and it's got the hollow stem that goes crunchy. And we've also are getting the Limnophilia aromaticas and the Limnophilia hydroides through here, but it's shaded out all my glosso, so my carpet is getting destroyed, and the rug tied the room together, guys. It's a real bummer, man. But tank is in need of help of trimming, and it's my fault that I have not been keeping up with it. Here's the hydrocotyle verticillata. Everyone always asks about what is this plant. So hydrocotyle verticillata, the toadstool looking plant. It's a money wort or pennywort, Japanese, Brazilian, whatever you want to call it. But what I'm working on next is, for the contest, we'll be raising these up. So I need to figure out a way to raise the struts on that. Whoops, raise the struts on that. Strutting. We be strutting. We be strutting. Yeah, if you haven't hit that like button, please do so. Also, this is crazy. If you guys were with me last week when I was talking about plants, do you guys remember when the water lettuce was literally, let's scoot it together like it was. The water lettuce was taking up right to about here. It was maybe 1/4 to 1/3 of the tank. It's already taken over. I mean, it's insane. There are not enough nutrients, and so then you get these thin petals like here. See this, how this is just melting? That's so gooey, you might not even get snails wanting to eat that. So you want to take care of that. Like right here is one of those leaves off of the Bacopa colorata where I said they were eating it. They're eating it like freaking pickles. Look at that. They left the rind. They don't want to eat the rind because they're babies. They're little snail weenie babies. And there's snails up here out of the water even, trying to find things to eat. up on top of the plant. But like I said, their spirals are really, really tight, and you could fit like a pencil in there, in the hole on the side. That tells you that they're growing really slowly, tells you that the curl is not getting, I mean, it's forming, but really slowly. So it starts to bulge out. And that's another sign that you don't have much waste in your aquarium. So that's, I mean, that's a good thing, right? For your aquarium and plants, not a good thing for the health of your snails necessarily. Especially if they're low on calcium, then they get really brittle. But that is that. Do we have, let's see here. Son of Quack, I live in California and my hardness is about 11 to 13. Pennywort does really bad for me. Is it because of the hardness? Hard to say. I would say that the hardness is probably causing a pH issue, and it's probably the pH more than the actual literal hardness causing any issues. I would say that it's probably your pH is probably alkaline, and they tend to like a little bit swampy. They like marginal waters where they can grow down into the swampiness of a lake or pond, whether it's in the Amazon or over in Japan. Some of the hydrocotyles or hydrocotyle, whatever you want to say. But yeah, so that's what I would assume. Cass says, do you heat your tanks? So right now I don't, because it's 80. I mean, we don't have AC as a whole down here. It's new for me to have AC. This is the first year I've had AC. And thanks to viewers like you, I do have AC in the window now. And so it keeps the room around 80 degrees right now that it's summer. But normally I put a heater in the aquarium. It clicks on at 74 for the general fish room. And if I have something specifically really that needs a lot of heat, like discus or rams or something like that, then that will be set to like 84 and it won't dip below that. That being said, the other thing to be aware of when you have plants like this is you can mess up their metabolism, and you can rot them too by getting it too warm. They don't live in, at night, jungles and things get to cool down. There's a transpiration, respiration, and breeze, convection, things like that that go on with the air. There's a lot of snails up top here trying to eat, but I'm going to clear all of this out. And if you think about it, these have been growing. And yes, I add a pump of liquid fertilizer every day. Well, actually 3 for this tank of each of the 2 macros from ADA. But I should tell you guys what we're working on, which is redfish, bluefish Jason up Woodby Island, Washington, at the store for redfish, bluefish, aquascaping, and European fish store. He is working on developing his own mix of aquarium fertilizers. And he's asking me, as well as Bentley, Pasco, and a few other people's for feedback and playing with it and then tinkering with it, seeing what we like, what we don't like. But essentially, he's working on building one that's set up for tanks the way I love them, which is a medium to heavy fish load and a medium to high light, which means that you want very low but some phosphates, very high potassium, because that's a limiting factor in many aquariums that have lots of color if you're running CO2. But if you don't have the CO2, it's not like the potassium is going to hurt. So that's the nice thing about potassium. Then they're low iron, but there's enough trace iron for the small cells to do their functional organelle work, literally like trace amounts of iron. And then there's basically no nitrogen added to it. No nitrates, nitrites. There's no liquid carbon. That's kind of a wives' tale as far as just adding carbon to the situation. You'll get enough from either the atmosphere, or if you're CO2 injecting, then that's where you'll get that from. And we've known that that's the most effective way to do that for a long time. Liquid carbons are really algicides usually, and they're really kind of a scam almost always. Now, I hope I don't lose you guys. Let me switch over really quick to Wi-Fi. T-Bone, what's up? Patricia, what's up? Good to see folks. So in here, you're asking about temperatures and stuff. It's really hot in here, just because of the day. Outside, it's really nice, but it's real hot. And we're losing a lot to evaporation. This is 1 week. It was filled to the top, and in 1 week, like literally, I filled it last Tuesday, did all these tanks. This one, the water is usually here, so we've only lost that much. But we've lost a lot of water on some of these tanks. I mean, even down here on the 40 breeder, we've lost a good 5 to 7 gallons. And here, this is a problem, but I'm kind of doing it as an experiment to see what happens. I've never kept angelfish without a filter. If you see here, no filtration running now for several weeks. And this, I think I need to get rid of the duckweed because of so that the water can get oxygenated just by moving when the fish swim and stuff. And when the plants do their photosynthesis. But so far, everybody's healthy and happy. Nobody's sluggish or gasping. So I don't know. I guess we'll let it play out. But the fish actually look really colorful and look happier than ever. So I think we're gonna let it play, let it ride. Same thing with up here, actually, come to think of it, but these are younger. I've gotten away with doing that many times. Richard says, Alex, have you done the sweet potato tanks? Yeah, definitely. I've done sweet potato. You just cut it and then set it in the hang off the back filter if you want. If you don't want the fish eating the roots or whatnot, or the roots growing into your tank, or you can just put the whole thing, float it into your tank. Here's these turcanas, by the way, that we haven't looked at in a little while. The jewels starting to look really good. These are the ones from Kenny and Danny that I brought back from Portland. And we've still got 6 of them. One looks like he might have some little bump on his head from fighting. But who knows? Look at all the shrimp in here. I was trying to sell shrimp today local. Look at those shrimp. So these guys have actually started limiting their size because of how many there are in here. Yet there's still pregnant ones, but the full grown size now is not even like, that's my index finger. And that's how big they're getting now because there are so many in here. And look how many are pregnant too, or buried. Very odd. I've never seen them limit like that. But they're literally just thick through there. I'm lousy with shrimp. Quite literally, louse. Also, look at all the little loaches eating their biofilm. They're all happy and fat and sassy. All the Siphodons doing well. Got a mystery snail doing its thing. If your sweet potato looks a little hollow, I would probably get rid of it. Like tubers or anything like that, I get rid of any sort of bulb plants if they're squishy, or if they break and they're hollow, or if they're black. If they're fuzzy on the outside a little bit, that's fine. But yeah. These are technology. These are Malawa shrimp, which means they're caridina, but they're parpara dentata. Parpara dentata, I think is how you say it. So, by the way, here's a healthy spiral on a snail where it's had lots of biofilm or algae to eat, and that doesn't bulge out. If it hasn't had enough algae to eat, it gets stunted, and that center spiral, it gets like a deep hole, and the turns aren't fully smooth circles. They actually are like kind of like a tight death spiral, like an exponential spiral. I'm kind of curious how these guys are doing. These guys get a lot of sunlight, and there's a lot of what do you call it? Algae in this tank. This is the ram tank that stays warmer when you asked about heating tanks. So here are those balloon rams that I got from Petco or PetSmart that I rescued, but the algae is insane. I haven't cleaned it because I'm a bum. So I should probably get some of those 6 snails, put them in here, and let them clean up the algae. Now, so many people feed their fish and their shrimp and their snails and their whatever, their scuds, so much that they aren't going to eat the things that they naturally would eat. They don't become they stop becoming scavengers, and they get a taste for eating only fish food and things like that, pellets, you know. And so it's important to make sure that they're used to eating the leftovers. Now, all this duckweed, we need to go on duckweed patrol in my place. The other thing is this tank has such low TDS. I've been filling it with like very low RO water, and I'm starting to lose leaves. And I think it's because of a lack of minerality, lack of, like, I'm not fertilizing this. And I think that that's the issue going on. But when we looked at the duckweed in that other tank where we had tons of fertilizer and nutrients and more medium to hard water, the duckweed in here are literally twice as big. And they'll actually, if I were to put more red instead of blue in this wavelength of light, it would actually, you get these little teeny flowers on duckweed, which I don't know if everybody knew that, but duckweed, like I said, it flowers. Whereas low nutrients, high nitrates, but low nutrients in general, look how teeny some of this can get. Again, though, the evaporation in this room is bonkers, but I've been trying to keep it to once a week. Yeah, also I had an immersed tank that was just flooded and growing. That project's over. And we're just using tanks. It's amazing that even without the light, even with the leaves dying and nothing usefully photosynthetic growing, with this light here, that stored plant still getting all the nutrients it needs down here. It's nice and big in this tank. But the leaves are all crunchy and gone, died and withered up. I should just take it off. But yet that thick stem is okay. It'll still come back. It'll still grow. It'll have to send new ones up. It won't grow new leaves here. But that's sometimes what you have to go through when you're going through the immersed plant process. And also, I forgot to update you guys on the lily that I'm trying to essentially carpet with sand. So this lily here is just a little tiger lily or dwarf lily. And I've been working on not letting it, so the water's real shallow, the nutrients are real low, the nitrates are real low, and the water moves a lot. Like there's a lot of splashing and stuff. And the lighting is low, but there's natural light off here. So I've been trying, I planted it on this side, and it's creeping not to the top of the water, but literally out the window, because up there's shade. Out and down is where the actual light is. But it's actually worked pretty well. And then sand is not a good conductor. It's not a good conduit for growth. It doesn't encourage growth very well. So it's actually worked out pretty well. Compared to like in this tank where it has sunlight and it has nutrients and it has an active substrate mixed with the sand, the same exact plant has grown these big old leaves and towards the top. Same exact plant, like bought the pack. It was a 2-pack and I planted them on the same day. So I just wanted to kind of show you guys what you can do when you tease your plants with light. A lot of people say you can't do this or that with low light. Well, or you have to have high light for this or that. Not that that's one myth in particular or anything, but it's just to show you guys that, I mean, density has to do with nutrients and the light, and you can mess with either one of those. You don't have to mess with both. Let's see here. So I was going to show you guys one more thing. Mine does the same thing, Cass says. Right on. Yeah, we have a full house tonight. It's good to see everybody. You know, lately I feel like the live streams have been a little lonely. And I love that y'all are in here partying, having a grand old time. Now, this is hot over here, but here we've got the plants that I gathered in the wild. Let's get rid of that. And this is Ludwigia palistris and Ludwigia repens, but also, oh, it doesn't let me zoom in. There are little babies. Let's see if we can maybe zoom in manually. Little babies. See that red stem? And then over there, we've got Ludwigia repens and a glandulosa. And then again, I've gone over this, but when you have alkaline versus alkaline water versus acidic water, you get different color on the azolla or on a lot of plants. And so the reds come out in the lower end of the spectrum, and the blues, which are the rarest color in nature, the blues come out when you have an alkaline and lower light end of the spectrum. Now over here, nothing came out. This stays in the shade more, and it didn't have enough oomph to grow out. It looks like it's died. But the snails are doing really well, which surprises me, which lets me know that there's no substrate in here. The water is not hard. There's no filter or anything. So there's the plants themselves or the fish food which is mosquito larvae, is allowing these pond snails or whatever they are, bladder snails, pond snails. I'd have to pull them out and see which way they spiral. They're growing totally fine. They're not lacking calcium or anything. They're coming up out of the water to feed, floating, doing their surfing thing. And then also here, we've got the paradise fish, an albino one. And she's they've got babies in there that are swimming around. But maybe you can see the plants better from this side. I don't know. It's a little hard to see them all. But again, lots of Ludwigias growing. And then here we've got the Persicaria maculosa, which I got a shot the other day over at the military base that I've been exploring, the park/military base. And I found literally, I don't know, a tennis court size patch of the Persicaria maculosa, which pretty cool. Think we have enough cardboard? My wife keeps ordering things. So here we go. Here's it in full bloom, fully immersed. And again, we've got two kinds of the Azolla, the turquoise and the purple or red. And then here we've got oxalis. Forget the exact species though. But it's basically like a clover, like a 3-leaf, 2-lobed clover. And then we've got Creeping Jenny, Creeping Charlie. We've got both creepers that were just in my yard. And then over there, that's a Nicaea immersed. Another Nicaea triflorata? Triflorata? But we've actually got the nice flowers growing on here. And that's the Persicaria. These are the ones that have the purple heart on the leaf earlier in the year. They still kind of have a remnant of it, but I love that one. Let's see here. So how is everybody doing right now? Do we have any misconceptions or questions that we need to answer? Or should we save the last 4 questions or so for the 3rd installment? Thank you, by the way, for sharing the info on Big City Bettas, Amber's Bettas. Appreciate it. A bit late for the party. Yeah, we're winding down here. Want to free up the night for others. I know Bentley usually goes at 6 or so, so we want to free up that night. Here's my little broadcast studio. But I got a little lav mic that clips onto that goes with my headphones. Looks like I ate Cheetos because that light's so warm compared to the natural light, unless I'm sitting right in front of it. Weird. Does Amber ship to Canada? I don't know. I'm not sure. You'll have to ask her. Unfortunately, I'm not sure. She was in here earlier too. So, Amber, if you're here, please answer Angie. That would be awesome. Is it a myth that this that? Well, okay. Let's see here. New local Austin. Is it a myth that size does not matter? Well, if your aquarium is too small, you can definitely stunt your plants. If your aquarium is large, they can go crazy. For fish and for many species, they will grow quicker and better if they have more space. If they don't have the space, you can stunt them and actually hurt their organs. So yes, bigger is better in that sense. Bunny Viper, I had to leave for a sec. Might have missed an answer. Can you help? Do I sell fish or plants? And can you recommend a fancy guppy breed? So I do locally, but not online for the most part, usually. Just because of logistics of it and doing it for years. I still will consider plants and Malawa shrimp, hardy shrimp, but I don't like to sell other fish. As far as guppy breeders, I mean, there's Guppy Train Facebook. There is Twin City Guppies. There is Aquatic Arts, which I have a discount to. There is the Wet Spot in Oregon. There's a lot of places to get guppies online. There's what is it, Guppy Permula from Sri Lanka if you want to get expensive ones. There's all sorts of places in Thailand, but I would go to Aquabid or getgills.com or aquabid.com and see if there's something you like there, because that's all hobbyists and you can search for guppies. That's what I would recommend. Oh, Cass, you said you noticed that my mic picks up my voice from across the room. It's because of this little Wait, can I even film it? No, all you can see is the cord. It's because of I've got a lav mic that clips in to my headphones, hence me wearing the headphones around still. So this big old mic, all I have to do is switch over on StreamYard for it to pick up. It's not on right now. I'm still on my lav mic, which show it. Why can't I show it? I can't get it in the picture. Whatever. It's on the cord. It plugs into the headphone cord and then it clips onto your shirt. Yeah, what line of guppies are you looking for? Danny and Danikin Aquatics. She's got some guppies. They got some guppies. Dee Dee's Fish Den. Hello, watching TV while charging in the process and couldn't say hi. Well, hello, and yes. So I think I'm going to call it an evening because I want to let any 6 o'clockers get on here. 3G, good to see you. So good to have so many of you here. If I earned it, hitting, oh, Patricia, you like the tie-dye? That used to be a staple. If you watch the channel for 5 years since it started, tie-dye is my default state of existence. So it's actually relatively newer that when I'm not wearing it. But I had a bunch of it get shredded or just really old. I mean, this one is literally falling apart. It looks like it's been through the zombie apocalypse. I mean, it's fallen apart everywhere. I've had it 15 years probably. There's a really embarrassing rip over here. So, but I still love it. It's made by this guy in Asheville, North Carolina, named Todd, Tie-Dye Todd. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for the super chats, for the good questions, for the interaction. Thanks for just hanging out. This was the live stream. And also, you know, I think we may do one more of these little myth things because, you know, on the list that I had was root tabs versus liquid fertilizers. Like, what's the deal with that? All-in-one fertilizers. I've covered a lot of these subjects in videos on their own, but not together quickly. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, additives in dechlorinators, good or bad? What, you know, what are the pros and cons of those, if any? And then which plants are good for acidic versus basic water or alkaline water? And then let's see here, what else do we have on there? Other than that, we touched on most of the myths that I had written down. But if you guys have more myths you want answered, put them in the comments on the video. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching and for putting up with me a little bit scatterbrained. Lots of uhs tonight because of my back pain. Both my sciatic nerves are in pain. Yes, Kevin, you wise sage, is correct. Bentley Pasco is up next, as far as I know. If you were looking for a show, he's a real educated guy. I don't know what the topic is, but you know, our friends, we're the ones talking with Jason of Redfish Bluefish on developing a new fertilizer too. So we'll let you know when that happens and when Jason has that for sale, honestly, because it's something we want to come out with. There's a lot of stuff on the market that are all-in-ones that it just it's not right for a tank that's very heavily filled with fish, essentially, and that wants low nitrates. So yeah, Danikin, thank you so much for the last minute super chat. Really appreciate it. I appreciate all you do, Danikin. And guys, while we're talking about Danikin, it's still a ways off, but Fishtoberfest, if you're going to be in the Northwest in October, you got to come down to Portland for Fishtoberfest. I've got in my community section, there's posters about it, or there's a poster. We've got me, Jason Blair, Dan from Dan's Fish, Also Lucas Brett and then Lawrence Kent, all speaking. We'll all be speaking, and you know, lots of booths and a swap basically going on. And it'll be in a really pretty city that is nice that time of year usually. And usually we get what they call an Indian summer, usually about, you know, 65, 70 with a little breeze and some clouds floating by. So plan on coming to Fishtoberfest in Portland if you're anywhere in the west or northwest. Do aquariums turn acidic with aerobic substrate? Ooh, that is a long question to answer. And you know, honestly, I don't know that for sure, but generally, yes. Generally, the answer is yes. That breaks down because when they get broken down, any bacteria, any fungi breaks down. That's a great question, Cass. Generally, as it gets broken down, you get the constituent parts. So you get the leaves breaking down into the carbonic acid and the nitric acid, which are released. And if it's a closed loop system like an aquarium, that can definitely acidify the water. And that's why like peat bogs and marshes and things like that, oftentimes with the tannins and all, they're really acidic and you know, like in the 5 pH range. But then you get to a point where the bacteria die and no breaking down occurs anymore. And actually, if there's no oxygen and no oxygen and it's acidic, I should say, then you get into preservation conditions like the bog bodies in Europe. So yeah. All right, guys. Lady Diane, Skidson, I'm getting off right now. I'm headed out, and my wife and I are gonna go enjoy our evening. But thanks for hanging out with me, and thanks for asking great questions. Bye, guys. I'll talk to you later, and I'll have some videos. Sorry, this week's been a little slow on videos. Got a lot going on. I'm kind of juggling a day job, a side project that I'm taking on because YouTube's a little slower this time of year. So working on some graphic design stuff for a produce. All right, guys, I will talk to you later. Have a great night. Thanks for hanging out with me.